I have about 15 flights on my new PilotRC 103-inch Laser V3. So far, I've been loving this plane, and I thought it would be a good time to start talking about my setup, how things are working out, because I've been getting a lot of questions. I thought it would be easier just to go through the whole thing. In this plane, I'm using the Frsky TDR18 receiver with the TDMX as the secondary receiver for redundancy and antenna diversity. This is a receiver setup without stabilization, so no gyro on this plane. So that's my preference there, but if you want to go with stabilization, you have things like the TDSR18 that offers stabilization. I really like this setup. I got a couple of questions recently about what was the best Frsky receiver for this type of 120cc extreme aerobatics plane, and definitely this is my preferred option. You get 30 amps of continuous current and up to 60 amps of peaks. I've been pushing this plane a lot already with very power-hungry servos, and I haven't had any type of problem. It's a very simple setup, very light setup, and with the TDMX for redundancy, you get a really reliable package with a very affordable price and small footprint. The TDMX is connected to the TDR18 just with SBus, so I have it connected to pin number 1. I just remapped channel 1 to a different pin, because in order to get that redundancy, you want to have TDMX connected to pin number 1 in the main receiver. For power, I'm using 2 packs of LiPos. These are Pulse 2-cell packs, so 7.4 volts, and these are 3,600 milliamp hour batteries. I get 5 or 6 flights easily with this. With this setup, the center of gravity is pretty much spot on over the wing tube. In my flights, that's worked great so far. With this center of gravity, when you go on a 45-degree inverted upline, you need to hold a little bit of down elevator, which is what I'm used to, what I like. And after trying different maneuvers, the feel is really good. So with that center of gravity, during precision aerobatics, the plane feels very locked in. But still, when you push the plane on extreme aerobatics or 3D maneuvers, all of them feel fairly easy, and you have plenty of tail authority. In regards of the radio setup, I like to keep it pretty simple. I don't have any dual rates, and I only have 2 switches set up in my radio. One is the kill switch for the engine ignition.
Ignition off. Ignition on.
The other one is a low idle switch. So that way, when I'm just starting the engine or taxiing to the runway, I can have a pretty low idle. And then right before taking off, I go to high idle, so that the idle is not so low that I would risk a potential dead stick. In terms of throws and exponentials, in ailerons I have 38 degrees up and 37 degrees down, with a 70% expo. That difference between up and down is a bit of differential to get the airplane to roll as axial as possible. That's a pretty common setup for most of this type of aerobatic planes nowadays. In elevator, I ran about 52 degrees up and down with 80% expo. And in rudder, I have about 45 degrees on each side with 75% expo. Regarding the exponential, those values might sound pretty high, but keep in mind that when I'm not using any type of dual rates, I still want to have a good amount of precision towards the middle of the sticks. And additionally, in my experience, different brands have different expo curves. So for example, when I was using Spectrum, to get the same feeling I get with 80% on Frsky, I would have about 60% expo with a Spectrum. Regarding flight characteristics, this is probably the best plane I've flown so far for freestyle, XA, 3D type flying. For low and slow, this plane is extremely forgiving, very stable. Harriers, inverted harriers, rolling harriers, hovers, torque rolls are as easy as they get with this type of plane. However, if you are exploring the max limits of the plane, if you are pushing extreme aerobatic maneuvers like slabs, rifle rolls, crankshafts, knife edge, spins, you get a lot of tail authority. And that's actually not that rare these days with this type of airframes. I think the thing that stands out to me on this laser is that this plane doesn't have a lot of inertia on pitch. I think common issue I've seen in planes I've flown in the past is that, yeah, they have a lot of tail authority. However, the pilot needs to anticipate that extra rotation you get due to the inertia, and you have to neutralize elevator or even give some opposite elevator a bit earlier than expected in order to keep the plane from over-rotating. This plane still has a little bit of inertia, but significantly less than other planes I've flown in the past. On top of it, precision maneuvers, slow rolls, knife edge, works really well, especially with this CG. I think it's a really good compromise. There is a little bit of rudder to aileron and rudder to elevator coupling. It's so small, I haven't bothered setting up any mixes yet. In the future, I might. If I was flying IMAC in competition, I probably would spend the time, but so far I haven't felt the need. Power-wise, the DA120 with the Falcon Carbon 28 by 9.5 is working out great, plenty of power, no complaints there. For servos, I'm using Futaba AA701. These are extremely fast servos. I think honestly it's a bit overkill. They're working out great. I think that covers most of the main things. If you have any questions, let me know. And feel free to reach out to Nikki and Harry if you're interested in this plane or any of the other Pilot airframes. I think they will treat you very well. Until the next video, happy flying!